Welcome to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. I'm your host, David Swope. This is my cohort, Spencer Hill. How was your weekend, man?
It was a good weekend. Got a little bit interesting earlier in the week. Me and one of my best friends, Matt, actually ended up trading a little bit of paint on Paseo del Norte.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not what you'd expect.
Okay.
We're known for pushing the limits of our street vehicles along with our race vehicles just a little bit. And I've been known to be the leader, and a lot of my friends like Jason, Matt, Cody, and they've been pushers, kind of like we had Talladega this weekend. And I think Matt got a little bit too excited with the side drafting,
no.
got a little piece of my right front quarter panel on the old Bronco. So a little bit of damage, didn't make Pops too happy, but that's how my week went so far. Not the best, but how about yours?
Well, mine was okay. It was a little more lame than that. Of course, we finally got the 74 Dart over to my house. Rolled it over on the side. Robert Shea is going to join us a little later, talk about the car show. But he and Kian and Donnie helped roll me over there. But the paint kind of came off in our hands because it's a little oxidized.
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess we were rubbing a little paint as well. But let's talk about what was going on the local scene. This weekend, coming up for Albuquerque Dragway on tomorrow, May 5th, is the street to strip. But last week they actually had the Derrick Memorial Race, and you had Dave Shipman that actually won the bracket challenge with from McKinney Motors Super Pro. Dave Shipman won that one. The new Signs and Graphics Pro division was won by Max Vargas. He won in the final round. In the Seduction Sportsman, James Fine was your winner, and Patrick Miller took home the Torco Racing Fuels Junior Dragster. And of course, on the Pro Series, as far as NHRA, I know you're going to be talking about what's coming up this weekend, but last weekend in Top Fuel, Steve Torrance got it done. Jack Beckman won in Funny Car. Bo Butner won in Pro Stock, and then Pro Stock Motorcycle, Andrew Hines won. And I'm so used to always seeing Eddie Craik. Actually, Eddie Craik won, but Andrew Hines is leading the points after 6 of 24. But a lot of great racing going on. And then out at Sandia Speedway, what went on last weekend?
Yeah, Sandia Speedway, we were back with the mini sprints in action. Casey Gossett getting his second win of his career and the season here at Sandia Motor Speedway. And with the Cruiser Hornet division, we had Bobby Sandy finishing first, Susanna Bonesteel second, Frank Payne in third, with a plethora of DNFs in that event.
I noticed that. As a matter of fact, I'm actually surprised to see Bobby Sandy back out there. I mean, it's been since on the asphalt track that I remember seeing Bobby, but that's a lot of DNFs. I mean, that's like 2/3. I thought that maybe either there was like weather that came in, or they just, Talladega broke out. I don't know what happened there.
I guess Talladega was the case for everybody this weekend, because DNFs were in just about they were in every main event. In fact, as we move into the street stock division with Jay Pape getting the win in that, Cheyenne Yates finishing second, Danny Gross Jr. in third, and then in the modifieds, Ronnie Leatham picking up the win in that one.
Wow. And I noticed that Grady was at the back. So, I wonder what happened there. He was the winner in last week's race. But if you want to go out and see what's going on this weekend out at Sandia, on tomorrow, they'll have the clay racing. Starts at 6:30, sponsored by Jackson Compaction. The road racing is going to be going on the road course both Saturday and Sunday. Gates open at 8 o'clock. Racing usually starts at about 1. They'll have different qualifying sessions and stuff. I won't be able to make it, but if you are interested in racing a Miata, give me a call, or you can email nmmotorsports report@gmail.com. My Miata is actually for sale if you wanted to go out and race it. And then on the 7th and the 8th, they're going to have the law enforcement driving school. And I always thought that was a good use of that track. Because sometimes, police, they got to learn how to drive too, because when they're chasing guys like us, they need a little bit more of a skill set.
They need some practice for all the crazy drivers out there. And I want to give a quick shout out to Colt Treharn, who picked up a win this weekend at Sandia Motor Speedway in the non-wing sprint car division with that Bobby Seals number 48. Really good to see that team doing well.
Yeah, and that's really good to see different things that are going on, and a lot of different people that are traveling. I don't know. Have you heard whether is Grants going to open this season? Because I haven't heard anything about a schedule or anything for them.
Yeah, so Grants, their first race of the season was scheduled to be this weekend, this past weekend, and they ended up having some technical difficulties, and they're having to postpone that. I believe they moved it to Saturday, May 5th will be their first race.
Okay.
So they are opening. Again, it's a little bit slower. They don't have quite the volunteer base that they had in previous years, but that's a great track. If anybody is able to go down there and go support that local racetrack. Been around for, I think, 48 years, and great group of people down there.
Well, absolutely, and actually, the first weekend of May is plenty early enough.
Yeah.
I mean, because we all know April at night can still get cold. In motocross, of course, this weekend, round 2 of the Moriarty MX Series, their 2018 race series. Looks like there's a total of 7 rounds that are going to be involved in that. So you definitely want to mark your calendar. SandyMX.com for all the information on that. But what's going on in the National Series this weekend?
National Series, we're going to Dover, Delaware. That's a nice short track with a big speedway mentality. We have the Camping World Truck Series racing today, May 4th, for their JEGS 200 event, and then Xfinity Series is going to be tomorrow, May 5th, at Dover again. And to round out the weekend, a triple header weekend, back to all 3 series racing, is going to be the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series from Dover. Moving into IndyCar, their next event is going to be May 12th in Indy. It's finally the month of May. Everybody's very excited to see what's going to happen down in Indianapolis. Of course, rounding that out Memorial Day weekend with the Indianapolis 500. Formula One's next event is going to be May 13th for the Spanish Grand Prix. A lot of really hard racing going on in Formula One right now. And then we have NHRA May 4th through the 6th for the NHRA Southern Nationals powered by Mellow Yellow.
All right, so Memorial Day, one of the greatest racing days. Of course, you start with Formula One in Monaco, the Indy 500, and the Coke 600. What would be your favorite race out of those 3 to actually drive?
I know a lot of people might hate me for this, but my love's always been with NASCAR, and it's got to be the Coke 600. There's something about racing 600 miles in a stock car at one of the greatest racetracks that NASCAR goes to at Charlotte Motor Speedway that really just gets me excited. The Indianapolis 500, of course, that would be amazing as well, but on a personal level, I think that the Coke 600 would be my choice. What about you?
Wrong. It would actually be the Monaco. I mean, just think about the French Riviera. I mean, on a street race. I mean, old school, the history. No, I mean, you couldn't miss doing either one. The only benefit of doing the Indy 500 and doing the Coke 600 would be to try and pull the double. I mean, it would be impossible to do the triple.
That would be so impressive one day if somebody could pull that off. I'm pretty sure logistically impossible, but wow.
Absolutely. Well, of course, car show is coming up on Saturday. Tomorrow is the Barley Room show. It's the Cinco de Mayo show. So for those of you that don't know, that would be May the 5th. Cinco de Mayo. But anyway, it's going to be a great show coming up a little bit later. Robert Chase is going to join the show. Tell us all about what you can expect with that. But just to be fair to everybody else, the 24th annual Summer Car Show Series at the Hooters East starts on the same day. The Owl Cafe's got the cars and coffee that's going on. We're also going to have coffee, and we'll have donuts. So the 13th running of the Tractors is going on in Corrales. But also mark your calendars for the following week. Next weekend, the NAMI Walks and Car Show at the Balloon Fiesta Park. And definitely want to check that out. It helps with the National Association of Mental Illness. If you miss any of our shows or anything like that, make sure you go to our website, nmmotorsportsreport.com. You can also check out our blog at 1017 The Team. Follow us on Facebook at the New Mexico Motorsports Report, or on Twitter at NMM Report. This was the Unser Racing Museum event calendar. You all can go there 7 days a week, 10 to 4, 1776 Montano. And of course, talking about the Indy 500, the other significance of that is it's the 50th anniversary. So it was way before you were born, but I was too. The 50th anniversary actually of Bobby Unser's first win. And I've talked several times about from 1968 to 1994, they have a 35% winning percentage for the Unzers. That means every third race, one of the Unzers was winning. Of course, you got Bobby and Al that were kind of going back and forth. 87 was the last victory for Al, and then of course Junior with the 92 and 94 victories. And of course, the significance for Albuquerque, everybody knows, is the Galmer winning with Gallus Racing in 92.
Absolutely.
And I remember that Rick was so overwhelmed. Rick Gallus was so overwhelmed with it. He said, you know, this one's for Albuquerque, and made a big point. But Albuquerque was definitely on the map for that. But kind of grown up in the shadow, you know, of the Unzers in the museum. When you travel and you mention you're from Albuquerque and racing, does the Unzers come up?
Yeah, the Unzers come up quite a bit when I'm going out of town and going to all these racetracks. And one thing that, I mean, it kind of surprised me, because as a kid, I'd go over there, and I mean, heck, I have some of the Unzers fire retardant underwear, some of Al's, that I used to wear growing up when I was running my first years in the micro sprint. I didn't think anything of it. I had no idea. I mean, I'm just a punk kid.
History.
I'm just a punk kid, and I'm wearing the same fire retardant gear that the Unzers made famous. And now that I've grown up and I've kind of learned about their legacy, that's such a cool thing that I've been able to say. And I've had like multiple pictures, autographs from them. And when I go out of town and tell people that, they're just like, they're starstruck. And it's kind of really, it's cool for me to go out there and see that. And see that Albuquerque does matter. We do have a lot of really good racing heritage here in the great state of New Mexico.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories actually is flipping my go-kart over at Triple T, and Bobby picking the cart up off of me, you know, and that's where, you know, because, you know, you're out there, you're doing stuff, and then you realize, oh, it's Bobby Unzer, he's won the Indy 500 3 times. Or, you know,
there you go, crashing over him, of course.
Then when Junior showed up, and he was about 18, and he just won the Formula Super V championship, also with Rick Gallus, before they even got going to the Indy 500. And it's just tall, skinny kid, red hair, you know, and to just think that, man, he's from my hometown. We got a whole lot more coming up, including we're going to talk some iRacing a little bit later.
Excited
and I'm
for
going to
that.
talk to you about how I started in iRacing just a little bit. And of course, Robert Shea is going to be talking about the Cinco de Mayo show. And of course, we're going to break down all the national racing from last weekend. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. and you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Did you know Sunrun Solar is the largest residential solar company in the country? Go solar and save 20% on your electric bill for as little as $0 down. Exclusive partner with Costco, and member guests receive special benefits. Call Mike Gutierrez at 505-227-0791. Sunrun Solar.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26. And joining me is my good buddy Robert Shea. How you doing today, Robert?
I'm well, David. And you?
I'm doing great. Well, we almost get to put another one to bed. So tomorrow morning, we're going to get up early and get started on the Cinco de Mayo. And you know what I was thinking about, Robert? We started this 5 years ago. This will be the fifth. And we finally got to Cinco de Mayo. We started with Tres and Dos and Seis, and then we had to do it April Fest that one time, and because we just couldn't get it to work out. But knock on wood, have another good day.
Well, it looks like the weather's going to be perfect. This weekend is a very busy weekend in Albuquerque. It looks like with our show, of course, and the others that are on the schedule. So this is when I think everybody's going to bring the cars out.
Yeah. Well, and what's amazing, and we've talked about this so many different times, is we get such different cars, and it's never the same cars. And a lot of times it's like cars we've never seen. It's like, have you seen that car?
Right.
Yeah.
There was many instances of just people in the neighborhood looking over the fence and seeing there was a car show, and they went in the garage and bring it out of the garage and bring it over. I thought it was cool.
Absolutely. So we'll talk a little bit more about it, but let's first talk about some logistics. It's at the Barley Room, which is at Eubank in Spain. And right there in the Promenade Center parking lot. As a matter of fact, we've got the poster up there. We're going to have 12 different divisions. We have a best of show. As a matter of fact, there's the Barley Room truck that was actually in the show last year. But as the show gets started, setup is at 8 a.m. We start promptly at 9 o'clock. We actually do the national anthem. That's one of the things we started a couple of years ago. It's really important, especially with raising money for the Blue Star Moms. It kind of gets us centered as to why they're there. This is definitely a show about having fun. We also do a 50-50, so you can come out. It's absolutely free to the public, but you can come out and you can vote. You can buy a vote, which is actually a donation. This is, what is it, vote early and often, like they always
exactly.
say, in elections, but you can come out and you can buy a vote for your favorite. So we invite you to come out. One of the other wrinkles we're going to have this year is we're going to actually have a live band. I mean, Split Decision is going to be playing some rock and roll for a couple of hours, and then we're over promptly at 2 o'clock. We award our trophies, and we always say you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Now, as a matter of fact, Scott and Jamie want you to stay there.
I was going to say.
But as a matter of fact, we got a couple of cars we're going to go through that we're at the show. Of course, Jim Costa with Yearwood Performance is always a big supporter of the event. There's one of his cars. I've got a couple of other cars that have actually won in the past. There's just a group of cars, so you can see how nice the weather is. You come out and just kind of hang out. They've got vegetation, they got trees. You can hang out on the porch, right there at the Barley Room. They've got food and everything going, and we'll have various entertainment, door prizes and different things as the day goes. Of course, there's Motiva. They've got their vehicle parked in nice shot there for the Barley Room. But they're actually sponsoring the band this year. And then, of course, last year, you got Mike Protetto to bring out the balloon.
That was neat. That was a big coup.
I mean, I don't know, are we going to be able to get him to do that with him working the graveyard shift now? Yeah.
You know what? If it comes to flying, Mike tends to make time for it all the time. So,
yeah.
No, there's no... I'm sure if we ask him, he'll show up. He's a good sport that way.
Yeah. So we've had all kinds of different cars, and we've got some other pictures that we'll show as we're running through the interview. But I mean, we've got stuff from, and you pick your own. Okay, we're not this juried thing. We pick a couple of people out from the crowd. It's all by number, so there's no rigging. Nobody can vote for their favorite on that. But we have classes like coolest cruiser, best best rat rod, best original, best street rod. Under construction.
The under construction always is neat. That was a neat one for me, because you never know which cars are going to get in it, but everybody's car generally is under construction.
You know, those that drive them, absolutely. And that's another thing, is we don't have a lot of trailer queens in this thing. Like Robert said, people sometimes go home, get one, go back home, get another one. The point is, you just kind of come hang out. We got a best motorcycle, best race car. As a matter of fact, we had to kind of say we got to have like what was it, a 5-point harness or a roll bar? What do we have to do?
At least a roll bar. Some of these cars that are coming off the showroom floors, which are very nice cars, trust me, believe me, they're pumping 650, 7 or more horsepower these days. And those things are quick on the drag strip, which you were mentioning a little bit about that. And these guys were pretty quick on the drag strip, and they have groups of them, like the Cadillacs.
Right.
There's one guy in particular that's running 1190s, and that's pretty darn quick for a street car with no roll bar.
Right.
And I think that's who you were talking about.
Right.
But we finally made a rule, because I don't want anybody bringing a skateboard and put it in the.
Lee Sanchez, we're talking about you.
We'll throw him under the bus here, huh?
Well, unless he put a magnet with a number on the door, at least something. But that thing was beautiful. But we do have a best race car division, best custom, best restored, best 4x4 and truck division. As a matter of fact, that's one of the winners from last year. That was an absolutely gorgeous car. I mean, can you tell us anything about that one, Robert?
Is it
a 66?
It's a 66. It's obviously not period correct, because they didn't come with those hood scoops.
With the cow hood.
Yeah, with that hood. But other than that, I mean, it looks pretty nice. I mean, the wheels are, again, might be a stock knockoff that is chromed, so I can't really, say much about that.
Best muscle car.
That was our best muscle car, yeah.
That was the best muscle car.
Sure.
And so, you can tell that, it's like, we're going to be kind of specific. You can't say best original, and then have aftermarket wheels. So if you pick best original, you might get downgraded because you picked the wrong division for yourself.
Exactly.
Well, we're going to score you based on that decision. And so I'm not taking any donations right now. It's not me. When I say we, I mean I'm talking about our collective. And of course, we have a group for all you Porsches and you sports cars and foreign cars and stuff. But this is one of my favorite pictures that I took last year. Is everybody trying to figure out what's in there?
It is. Look at that.
That's the caption. Is like, what's in there?
What's in there?
Yeah, and it's like nobody wants to touch it, but everybody wants to see what's under there. Just how stock is it? So
it looks like it's a Ford, 67 something 66, and it probably has a pretty nice motor in it. I think I remember that car. I think.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun with it, and if you have a business and you want to come out and participate, it's really neat, because it's just a $50 donation to the Blue Star Moms. So the money goes directly to them, so you can actually take it as a tax donation. You don't have to worry about splitting and how much benefit that I get. It just all goes right there. And like I said, we have fun. It's a half-day thing. You have to bring your own tent. You have to power we can make arrangements for, but for the most part, we're just kind of hanging out. But you can reach out to me, NM Motorsports Report at gmail.com if you have any information on that. But we couldn't do this without the help of our sponsors. Napa, Car Crafters is going to have a booth there, Motiva, and of course everybody from the Unser Racing Museum to Maverick. Casa is all about trophies. Of course, Mild to Wild, laser cut. You haven't seen the new ones because we changed the logo.
Oh no!
So there's a new laser cut steel. We custom make these every year. Yearwood Performance, of course. Albuquerque Drive Shaft, DL Designs, who did all our graphics. AMSOIL. Print Express, Napa Auto Care Centers, Albuquerque Dragway. So you can see there's a lot of people involved. You can pick up one of the, the newest copies of the New Mexico Motorsports Report magazine. It's a so you can get really close to your TV so you can see it. But in there's all the information if you want to get a hold of us. But this was actually one of the cars that was out at the drag strip, ABQ Dragway. And so a lot of neat things that go on.
Will we be able to hand some of those out at the car show?
And we'll have some there as well. A whole reason to come by, and I can't really. I don't know. Are we on this station? Are we allowed to talk about alcohol? Because there is known to be refreshments at the Barley Room. As a matter of fact, last year didn't they have like a Bloody Mary bar or something like that? I mean, they've always tried. Jamie goes all out.
They try to mix it up a little bit for us. They absolutely do. So that's
pardon the pun. Mix it up.
Yeah. Or pun intended, whichever you want.
Or punch intended. But anyway, you can also give me a call. You give Robert a call. There's flyers available at the Napa stores. You can come by and pick them up. But have I forgot anything?
No, let's talk about the Blue Star Moms just a little bit more and what they do. If somebody out there hasn't heard about what they do, they put together a goodie box of things that they send to our troops that are overseas or out of the country. And a lot of the items that they have in there are typical toothbrush, toothpaste, brushes, magazines, just different things. And it's a very worthy cause because it gives our troops the feeling that we care about them and that we're thinking about them. And the Blue Star Moms do a very, very good job of doing that. Make them feel homey. And so that's why we want to help them. And they always need help for postages and some of the other stuff that you know about. And that's one of the reasons we produce these shows for the we sponsor somebody to a charitable charitable place, organization, and that's how we feel good about doing the car show.
So we help the homies.
Help all the homies.
help all the homies. Well, and it's like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's a great venue. Both Scott and Jamie Bollinger that own the Barley Room are very involved. I understand that we're going to get some goodies from some of their vendors this year. So we'll have a little auction and stuff that you can participate in. But come out. I mean, it's really not about hitting you over the head. To make it just whatever feels good. I mean, the one thing that I always think about is Rockin' Rob, which a lot of people know. Rob is DJ around town, and he was injured, in the line of duty. But one of the things that he remembers is getting one of those care packages, and the significance of him standing up and talking about it. I think everybody just reached in their pocket right there. And then of course we quite often will have. An opportunity with the 50-50. A lot of times it gets donated back. We went back and forth where nobody, seemed to want it one year. So you just come out, have fun, enjoy yourself, and of course, a lot of great looking cars. But we're going to, on the other side, we're going to actually talk a little iRacing, and I'm going to show you how little I really know about playing, racing on the computer. But Spencer Hill's going to jump back in here, and he's going to show me all about the rigs and all the cool stuff that's going on. So invite you to stay tuned. You've been watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa auto parts, like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
The Barley Room, a proud sponsor of ProView Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering. Let us bring our kitchen to you. Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
For 55 years, people have bought trucks from Tillery in Los Lunas. We have a great selection of vehicles, the quality service department, and some of the best deals in the state. But most importantly, we found people prefer to buy trucks from people who actually drive trucks.
Tillery is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Locally owned and operated, located in Los Lunas, right off I-25, exit 203.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26. And this is my buddy Spencer Hill.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about some simulators today, namely iRacing. That's something that's really picked up in the last couple of years. That's a really good tool for drivers to use, both for fun and for serious driving before they actually get to the track.
I know everything about iRacing.
I'm sure you do.
I used to have the points, you know, the top points on pole position. I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
Close. Pole position's a little bit. That makes my first video game seem pretty new. My first video game was, I think it was NASCAR Thunder 2001.
Wow.
And that was a fun game too, even back in the day. That's something that drivers, I feel like every driver has always used video games in some sort of fashion. Now, of course, they moved into these super high-tech simulators, but even from the beginning, drivers have always used that as a tool, learning how to get the mechanics of racing down and really just having fun with their buddies or spending time on their own trying to beat that lap. That's what we're always about, is trying to be the fastest person out there. And that holds true with the simulators now too.
Well, it's amazing because, I mean, you hear him talk so much about like William Byron, you know, I mean, you know, kind of coming out of nowhere. I mean, supposedly there's a legend, and you'd have to tell me that like some of the Cup drivers, that will actually, you know, go and will race on iRacing. And
well, it's in their contracts now that they have to.
Wow.
It's in their contracts that they have to go out and spend time on the simulator.
Wow.
Perhaps the most popular known is the Ford simulator, which we'll show shortly. But that's actually what drivers are needed to do now to make, you know, the track days matter that much more now that we don't have testing.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
Yeah, for sure. And we do have a couple pictures that we're going to roll here now, talking about it. But let's just give a little bit of a brief history of it. Of course, iRacing is a somewhat newer version of these simulators that we've had. We've always had, you know, the old video games. Growing up, NASCAR was always very popular. I remember the dirt, that's always been something really hard to practice online because they've only had a couple video games. But now iRacing has come out with the simulator for dirt racing, sprint cars, late models, street stocks. I mean, you can almost get into any class now and practice online before you jump into the real deal.
Wow.
And that's something that helps drivers out quite a bit. I know I use it a lot. And here's that the Ford simulator. This is by Ford Performance. I know that all of Roush drivers are supposed to go there and practice on it. Here's a full setup system where this rig actually moves. It's like a 5-point system where you really do get the full feel of a car moving.
Wow.
And that's something that I'm sure really excites a driver that's coming into the sport, trying to learn new things about it. And it's kind of like, how do you practice? That's one thing that I've always been asked is, Spencer, how do you practice? Because it's not like football, baseball, where you go out in your backyard and you go throw a ball around and, you know, learn dynamics like that. Really, for us, the first time that we get to practice a new thing with the car is on race day.
Yeah.
And so by having these simulators, we're able to really stay sharp and really, with the eye-hand coordination, stay in the seat in some way.
I do have to ask, I mean, is it really feel like it? I mean, because I know that pole position did not feel like it. I mean, I raced go-karts when I was doing pole position, and it wasn't anything like that. I could see how it could help you with visual places where your braking should be and stuff like that. But how is the feel? I mean, does it really feel like racing?
I have not been in a full rig where you're actually able to move around with the car, but iRacing in particular, they've done such an amazing job at simulating the conditions that we're actually racing in. One thing that I was really surprised with was their dirt that they introduced. I had somewhat low expectations for that because dirt and asphalt are just so different, and they've never kind of entered into the dirt version of things. So I didn't know what to expect when they introduced that, but they did such an amazing job at getting the feel down. Of course, you don't get, you know, the seat of the pants feel that every driver really drives with when they're in the car, but with the force feedback with the wheel, and now they have changing track conditions throughout the races that you do online, you get a really good feel of what's going to happen throughout a race, and you're able to play with setup ideas. And it's something that's helped me out with my racing quite a bit. Just, you know, in the off season, staying sharp, staying, you know, healthy with the mind, being able to, in a way, practice without actually being out there and spending real money. Also, hurts a hell of a lot less when you hit a wall online.
Absolutely, it's a lot less expensive as well, hitting the wall. But that's one thing I was going to ask, is because I've only driven on the dirt on a dirt track. At Sandia once, and it was in an X mod, and you know, I had been road racing and all kinds of other stuff. I felt like I was an idiot. I had no idea. You get on the car, you know, was immediately sideways, and then that whole turning left to turn, you know, or turn right to turn left thing. And so maybe it needed to give it some more time. But yeah, you're there at a practice. Everybody's watching. You know, and of course, if you want to do a one-day rental, I mean, you could be talking, you know, potentially thousands of dollars.
Easily.
And you know, and then of course, not to mention, I mean, fuel and tires, and especially if you don't know what you're doing and you hit something.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, of course, you know, I was probably more worried about my pride, which maybe is part of the problem. But I totally agree. I'm really interested in trying the dirt, you know, to see if maybe, you know, I get a little more courage to maybe wanting to get a street stock or something and go out and run on the dirt. But how much do these type of systems cost? I mean, is it like racing? It's like, well, how far do you want to get into this thing?
It's like that, just really on a micro scale. The cool thing about iRacing is you can get into just a general form. Of course, it's a stationary system if you're on the lower end of the budget, but you can get into it for right around, you know, $150, $200.
That's not bad.
Which, that's pretty affordable for anybody that wants to still have that amount of fun without going out and taking that huge risk, and of course the unknowns of buying a race car, especially if you don't know anything about the sport.
Right.
Going out and really jumping in with both feet. So buying one of these systems and purchasing iRacing or any other simulator is giving you a chance to have that same amount of fun, but do it, you know, on a smart budget where you're able to learn. And it allows you to, you know, you can even go as far as adding a little track map where it shows you where the correct racing line is and where your brake point should be. Helps a lot with the road racing stuff. That's the biggest thing. And we had Brian Grandin on a couple weeks ago, and he talked about it just a little bit too, about how iRacing helps him and a lot of his customers learn the track before they go out and they do spend that money to go and try to be competitive. So it's just a really good tool that the drivers now have. Of course, technology is only getting better and better too, so I'm excited to see what we have in the future. But it's a great tool that we have that's able to allow us to truly practice like other sports now, and I love that idea.
So I was also curious, is there any of the things that you learn, you know, flags, like how to deal with other stuff? I mean, do you like literally qualify and then you get gridded in a race and that kind of stuff, or how does that work?
There's even people that I race professionally, like for money, and they've made kind of a micro career out of it.
Well, I mean, like how much money?
Again, how good are you? There's people
let's just assume I'm average.
On the average, you're not going to make a killing. You're not going to make a living off it. But you are able to get into races that do pay money. And there's professional races that are held by iRacing servers that allow you to go in and race with people like Dale Jr., you know, Kyle Busch, all these really big names. Alex Bowman's huge into iRacing. William Byron, like you touched on earlier, that's how he learned.
Wow.
He wouldn't be in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series right now if it wasn't for iRacing giving him that opportunity to go out and feel a car before he actually jumped in one. And it excelled his career. I mean, I don't think he started racing until the age of 14 or 15 years old. That's kind of unheard of, at least making it to NASCAR at that young of an age. And that was solely due to simulators helping him along the way.
So I got to ask you, okay, so if this is like racing and there's money, there's got to be spectators. Can you actually log on and watch an iRace?
There is, and that's something that people, I'm sure, often don't know about.
Well, my generation
yourself included,
is blown away because I know what happens because I see my kids playing video games, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, I'm an old school dude, so I was like, well, the chicks aren't just going to sit there and watch it. They do.
No, they do, and that's crazy.
It blows my mind. So, I mean, so people will pay money to actually spectate an iRace?
I don't know too many people that have paid money to spectate, but there's a nice program out there now. It's called Twitch, where you're able to live stream all your events that you're doing online. A ton of the shooter games on like Xbox, PlayStation, they use that a lot to live stream their games, and now iRacing users are able to do that as well. In fact, if you go on to YouTube, you can search these races, and I gotta tell you, they're good. It's not people going around backwards wrecking into each other. They're actually racing, and they're trying really hard, and they put on great events for what they have going on in an online format.
So, okay, so sometimes I can be a little slow, and you know I'm a promoter, so I'm trying to figure out how I can sell Cokes at this event or whatever, because that's really where the money is a concession stand. So everybody needs to get that figured out. So if there is a purse, do you have to pay an entry fee to participate?
It depends on the series. Okay. Some series, I know my friend Jason and Brian, they were in a series where you paid a small fee, you know, $25, something like that, and it all kind of went into a pool. This one was a very backyard type. Yeah. I mean, it's not, you know, fully run by iRacing like some of the other ones are, but it's where a lot of group of friends can get together, throw in $25 a pop, and go racing for, you know, maybe $100 for the championship, and you can do that almost, you know, every other week.
Wow. That's phenomenal. So if somebody wanted to get more information on that, where would you suggest that they go look?
Yeah, you can go check out iracing.com. And they have tons of information there. They'll tell you about what systems work really well with their servers. There it is, iracing.com. And really, you're able to work with, you know, anything from NASCAR Cup cars to street stocks to McLarens, Porsches, pretty much any race car you want to drive in real life but don't have the money to do so. Go check it out, because you can get into it really affordably and still have that same amount of fun.
So, okay, we've been talking, you know, I mean, for the last 5 years that I've been on the radio about where do we get the younger people? Is this where you get younger people hooked into it? And can they make the transition off of iRacing to real racing?
I gotta say, iRacing has gotta be like the gateway drug to racing. Because kids were already, you know, playing video games as it is. Right. There's very few kids are actually going outside and playing nowadays, unfortunately. So why not try to, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. Throw out a simulator and make it affordable for kids to get into this again and allow them to branch out and then perhaps start a go-kart or a quarter midget career.
That's really cool. All right, so stay tuned. On the other side, we may argue about who we think is the hottest driver right now and who's not. You've been listening to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network on Comcast 26.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at ProView Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Hey, New Mexico, come check out the newly remodeled guest rooms at the new Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center, featuring 309 rooms, 30,000 square feet of meeting space. New Mexico's only indoor water park featuring the Wave Runner. 2,200 square foot fitness center with hydro massage chairs. Also enjoy breakfast at our new Manzanita Grill and watch your favorite team play at Altitude Sports Bar and Grill. It's all at Wyndham Albuquerque Hotel and Conference Center.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with ProView Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of ProView Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26. And all right, we're going to get into talking about the races last weekend, and starting with the Formula One race. And man, that was crazy. Lewis Hamilton coming away with the victory. On the final restart, he was in third. And who would have thought that it would have transpired the way it did? Kimi Räikkönen, Sergio Perez. Force India finishing third. Vettel fell all the way to fourth when he had the victory basically in his hands, and Carlos Sainz finished in fifth. But what do you think about the whole contact between Verstappen and Ricciardo?
This year in Formula One is really blowing my mind, because I have never seen a season with so much contact. I think everybody looks at Formula One like kind of, almost the princesses of racing. Don't touch, just all looks and all show. But that's not the case this year. Yeah, they're beating, banging. It's like they have fenders on them. It's crazy. And once again, you don't want to wreck your teammate. Right. So to see that happen, it's very shocking to me.
Well, and this didn't go on once, but it was like 3 or 4 times where Ricciardo would take him on the outside, and then Verstappen would slam the door on the inside of the corner. It was a crazy race. But Lewis Hamilton's now taken over the point lead, 4 points over Sebastian Vettel. Kimi Räikkönen third, Bottas, Ricciardo, and Fernando Alonso. That's phenomenal for him to be sitting there in 6th in points. But you look at these guys, and already when you look at the point differential there, Daniel Ricciardo with 37 points, and Lewis Hamilton with 70 points. And I mean, already, just this shortly into the season, it's already, starting to be a runaway. And it looks like it's going to be Mercedes versus Ferrari again. And in a way, this is how the season started last year as well. But it had to be heartbreaking for Bottas that had that race in hand.
And then a flat right rear tire. I mean, how heartbreaking do you think that's got to be to have literally a race in your hands and then poof, gone like that, especially from something not of your doing, just hitting debris on the track and ultimately exploding that right rear tire, ending his day with just 3 laps to go.
Well, I'm sure you have had that happen. I know that I've had it happen. Now, it wasn't a piece of debris, but I had an oil pump go, and it was leading a race in an open wheel Formula Super V. But it does happen, and it's heartbreaking. And I think that's probably why we feel it a little bit more too. It's like the injustice of it all. But talk about injustice. Talladega, a lot of times, it just sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I tell you, somebody who's in the right place, Spencer Gallagher, coming away with the victory, in the Xfinity victory. Brandon Jones, Justin Allgaier, and Justin, at that final restart, he was coming on the outside. I mean, I thought, where did he come from? Because it seemed like he fell a lap down.
Well, him and Sadler were hooked up, and they were coming to the front. Unfortunately, they just ran out of steam right at the end. But Elliott Sadler bouncing back from a 1-lap penalty and coming into a top 5 finish, that's huge. Of course, he was the Dash for Cash.
I was going to say, bounce back to another $100,000
champion there.
$100,000 now, but I tell you, I think that Xfinity has started to kind of figure it out, because those shows have been great. Tyler Reddick still with the points lead over Christopher Bell. Spencer Gallagher jumping up into 3rd in the points. Elliott Sadler and Justin Allgaier round out your top 5 in points right now. And I tell you, it's going to be a battle right down to the end.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Spencer Gallagher really quick, because that is such a huge victory for that family-owned team, something we don't see in racing very often anymore. Of course, that's his first lap led in his Xfinity career.
Wow.
And it ended up being the right one. Right on the last lap, and took the victory for that GMS Racing number 23 car.
Yeah, and it's great to, like you said, to see the smaller teams get that done. And there's him doing a burnout, and so it's funny, because when he started doing it, I was like thinking, oh, it's a small team, you don't want to burn it down, right? Because they might actually need that. But on the bubble, of course, heading towards the playoffs, still got a long way to go actually. But Ryan Reed in 11, Ross Chastain, which we talked a little bit about last week, but Austin Cindric, Michael Annett, and Ryan Sieg. On the outside looking in. But I got to tell you, Austin Cindric, what's amazing, and a lot of people don't know this, but Tim Cindric is his father, who is actually calls the shots over Penske's open wheel team. And I tell you, you wonder sometimes, was there a little favoritism there? I don't think so, because Tim's a tough guy. He's really tough. But what do you think? And I know it's so early to start calling this, because the point differential is still such that there's not a lot of difference between 11th all the way down to even 20th.
Yeah, somebody that I really want to keep my eye on too is Ryan Sieg, driving that number 39 car for his own team. That driver does so much with so little, and it's really incredible to see him knocking on the door of an Xfinity playoff point right there. And to see a team that's so small like that doing big things really makes my heart happy. And we saw that last year with Jeremy Clements picking up the win on the road course. I think he is going to be somebody to watch this year as possibly a dark horse to getting into the playoffs.
And that's a perfect example, is because road courses, the short tracks, and then the restrictor plate races are a perfect example where there's that leveling, if you will. But you still got to get out there and get it done. Because it all comes down to pit stops. Pit stops are even more important on short tracks than they are on the bigger tracks. But when you look at just straight points, Elliott Sadler has the lead in just points, and if I'm not mistaken, he's got a chance for another 100,000.
Yes, he does. And we're going to Dover, Delaware, the Monster Mile. That's a track that's treacherous for all that go there. Everybody's trying to tame that monster. Of course, we start off with the Truck Series today, and then we're rolling into Xfinity Series Saturday and the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday.
Well, I tell you, I actually love the triple. I mean, because, you know, the people talk about, oh, you know, I mean, get it all down to, 2 days or 1 day, not have the qualifying. But man, this is the way it should have been. This is the way the gods designed, NASCAR to actually run. With qualifying on Friday, and then you got the truck race, and then Saturday is like there's so much going on with practice and everything. And on the smaller tracks, it's amazing, trying to watch, the trucks move in and out. I mean, that alone. And of course, Talladega, there was a lot of talk about, like campgrounds and all the other the fun that was going on.
That's one big party over there, Dave.
Well, that's why I hear. And as a matter of fact, Costa was telling me the other day that even drag races have, big events like that. They call them the zoo. We call them the pit and other types of stuff. So one of these days we'll have to definitely check one of those out. But let's talk about the Cup race. Joey Logano finally back in winner's circle.
A year later.
And now granted, I mean, you always got to wonder, I mean, are they going to take it away like they did last year? that encumbered finish that just messed everything up. Kurt Busch. I mean, what a run he'd had at that track. And then, of course, the Chevy sandwich there with Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick and Ricky Stenhouse. The Fords just dominated at Talladega this weekend.
Yeah, the Fords, you always have to look at them to be strong when you go to a restrictor plate track like Daytona or Talladega. Of course, my pick last week was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that Roush Fenway number 17 car. He looked strong all weekend long, but did not quite get the finish that he was hoping for with that victory, finishing 5th. A couple other drivers. How about Jay McMurray in practice with that wild ride that he had down the back straightaway?
He barrel rolled that thing like 6 times or something like that.
Yeah, in practice.
They made this restrictor plate, they made it more restrictive. By a 64th, but
Yeah, but that was still enough for about 14 horsepower worth of change. And it did help do the justice for the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series.
Absolutely. So before we kind of jump into a little bit more, I do want to talk about, because we talked about Roush Fenway, and we were really going to see if Trevor Bayne was going to try and make a good run. Of course, Trevor Bayne's won the Daytona 500. He can race, on the restrictor plates. But what kind of pressure do you think he's now under, with having Kenseth in the wing like that? I mean, because especially, he would have made quite a problem if he would have gone out and won that race. I mean, that might have been one of the best things to be sitting here and speculate. Are we going to be a 3-car team now? What are they going to do that now they have a bid?
Yeah, I think it's a tale of 2 stories at Roush Fenway Racing right now. You have Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's more excited than he's ever been because he gets to lean on NASCAR champion Matt Kenseth for all this data and all of his knowledge that he's had over the years of the sport. But then you move over to Trevor Bayne. His job's on the line.
Yeah.
It's time to get serious for Trevor Bayne, and he needs to start bringing out results, minimize or eliminate all DNFs for the rest of the season, because if he doesn't turn around soon, I think this is probably his last year in the Cup Series at least.
Well, and it may be, not just with this team, this may be it. I mean, because, his star's not necessarily rising. I mean, one of the big things we always talk about is how's the sponsorship situation? Is he solid with the sponsor? I mean, that's going to make it a little bit harder to kick him to the curb. But absolutely right. You talk about Ricky Stenhouse. He's actually right now in the top 16. So that's an amazing story in itself, because he has made it, on the victory last year, and he was actually pretty dominant at the restrictor plate tracks. But right now he's on the inside. On the outside looking in, Ryan Newman, Chase Elliott. I mean, last year he was like always up at the top, and Paul Menard. A hell of a run. I mean, Menard almost stole that thing last weekend.
Yeah, doing really well with Wood Brothers Racing in that number 21 car. Of course, lots of history behind that. That's a driver that perhaps hasn't had the most stellar career.
Right.
Now able to get out there with a really good team, really good car, and he's making a big splash and making the most of that opportunity.
Yeah. So let's look at where we are on the points. Your top 5: Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Clint Boyer, and Martin Truex. When you look at victories, and Austin Dillon's got a victory, so we might as well include the top 6 there based on victories. But when you look at points, Kyle Busch is still dominating in just straight points. Joey Logano right there when you adjust for points in second. So really strong. The team's going to have a lot of strength, but a lot of neat stuff going into Dover. What are your thoughts for the Dover race coming up? Who do you think's going to come away?
There's a lot of cool stories going into Dover this week, and of course you have Roush Fenway, who's been really well on the short track program. This is a big track. This is a 1 mile oval, but it's also concrete, much like Bristol, where you see Roush Fenway doing really well. The Fords, expect them to be fast all weekend long. Kevin Harvick, forced to be reckoned with at Dover. And then you got to look at somebody like Jimmy Johnson, somebody that's had a lot of history of doing well at Dover. I think he could be a spoiler in this weekend's event.
Yeah, and I keep thinking one of these days we are going to see Chase Elliott. And Chase Elliott, lost a heartbreaker there last year. All right, we appreciate you tuning in, watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report. Hey, if you want to see something, you want to get involved in the show, NM Motorsports Report at Gmail. Go to nmmotorsportsreport.com. We'll see you next week on the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the ProView Network, Comcast 26.